Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Chris Allison, who is the Acting General Manager and Regional Director, North America for Tourism in Australia. And we just had some fantastic news. Australia is reopening to vaccinated travelers from all over, but from the US especially, as of February 21. And we sort of, in an earlier interview I did with Chris last year, we kind of forecast that this was going to happen probably in the first quarter. We hoped it would. And it certainly looks like all things go for February 21. And we're going to talk about the impact of that, what exactly means, and all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Chris, first of all, great to see you. How are you? You're in LA, right?
I am, yes. I'm actually in the office today, which has been a rarity over the last couple of years, but it's great to see you, and thanks for taking the time to meet with me today and talk to everyone about our exciting news. We're very excited by everything that was announced earlier this week. So I'm happy to answer all of your questions and hopefully get everyone confident about selling Australia again. So we're very excited.
Well, I know there are an awful lot of people, and we did a lot of videos last year, and everybody's gearing up to sell, but now we have a firm date. Let's talk exactly what's going to happen on Feb 21 in terms of opening up Australia to visitors.
Yes, for sure. So I guess the first thing to remind everyone of is that Australia has had a phased approach to its border reopening for international tourism. So many people many people in the community will know some of those phases. So late last year, we opened up international travel again for Australians. And then towards the end of last year, we opened the international borders for certain markets, so those being Singapore, Japan, and South Korea. So what this announcement does is actually open up borders for broader access to travelers from any country across the world, providing you are vaccinated. And that obviously includes North America, so US and Canada. So we are very excited, not just in this market, but across all of our regions, to be able to welcome guests back again. I was going to say probably the key thing for everyone listening to this is, what does it mean for people? How do they travel to Australia? So I'm happy to kind of talk fairly broad level in terms of what the current requirements are, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess there's no new requirements that have not been in place for those communities that I've just talked about. So I'll overview the elements of the requirements to travel that apply to anyone. And then I'm sure we can provide links to specific information based on people's specific scenarios. So basically, for North Americans, anyone can travel to Australia now freely, providing they are fully vaccinated.
Right.
The definition of fully vaccinated from a federal government perspective, anyone that's had 2 doses of their COVID vaccine, authorized in the US or Canada.
And you don't have to have a booster, just those 2 doses, right?
So to enter internationally, you don't have to have a booster. There's one exception to that, which I'll cover in a second, that only came up this morning. So you are required to be vaccinated. You are required to do pre-departure testing. So there's 2 ways that you can satisfy the pre-departure testing requirement. The first way to do that is to undertake a PCR test, which has to be done within 3 days of scheduled departure time from the US or Canada. But we also know the provisions also allow people to also take a supervised rapid antigen test, and that can be done within 24 hours of departure from North America. So, and depending on what people have access to in their local community, either of those 2 things satisfy the requirement. Pre-departure, you're also required to fill in an Australian travel declaration. So that form is similar to forms that many other countries have. It's there to provide declaration around your health status, contact information, just tracing that might need to be done when you're on vacation in Australia. So not dissimilar to what guests might be experiencing for other countries at the moment. So that is there. Guests traveling to Australia also require to complete an electronic travel authorization. That was in place before the pandemic, so that also needs to be completed. So they're kind of the prerequisites for travel. When you arrive into Australia, conditions vary by state in Australia. So each state has their own specific conditions, but they're broadly consistent for most of the states. So from North America, if traveling down to Australia, we generally arriving into Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane as the key international gateways.
Right.
And so New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland government have fairly consistent policies. So when you arrive in each of those states from international travel, you're also required to undertake a rapid test on arrival within 24 hours, and you're required to basically self-isolate until you get a negative result from on-arrival testing. So on-arrival testing is fairly widely available in the community. The links that we'll give you to the state pages have information on where and how people can access testing. At the moment, although I would anticipate this may change, at the moment there isn't any testing facilities on arrival at the airport as of, but I anticipate that the links that that we give you, so everyone will have that information. The only state that isn't open to international guests at the moment without the requirement for quarantine is Western Australia. So guests can travel to Western Australia, but they are required to undertake mandatory quarantine for 14 days there. That's a mix of 7 days of managed quarantine and then additional 7 days of self-quarantine there. So there is that restriction in place for Western Australia at the moment. But again, I think we anticipate that to change as their local state protocols change.
So that if I want to go to Perth, I would have to quarantine, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the other question, which will be relevant for folks listening, will be, well, once I'm in Australia, what does that mean? How do I travel around the country? So again, most states, probably Western Australia being the big exception, once you're in Australia, you can travel relatively freely across each of the state borders. So you can travel from Sydney to Melbourne, or Sydney up to Brisbane, or to Queensland, or North Queensland. So the restrictions are relatively free there. The two pieces to highlight to people are, if you are traveling to Victoria, Victoria just changed their vaccination requirements to enter public settings, so restaurants, bars, venues. And this applies for both international guests and domestic guests. You are required to be boosted, so triple vaccinate.
And would they accept a US vaccination card with the booster on it?
That's right. Yes, they will. So in terms of how you prove your vaccine, you can use your US vaccination card or the digital equivalent, which many of us have access to here. Yeah, so that's kind of the outline of the protocols. But I do want to emphasize that there are specific nuances. So as advisors are planning itineraries for their customers to Australia, I will highly recommend just checking the specific state information, of which we can provide a link at the bottom of this video for everyone to refer
Okay,
to.
so yeah, we'll include those links at the bottom in the descriptor of the video. And if you could send those to us, that'd be great. Yeah, so it sounds like what goes on in terms of masks in Australia now?
So I can't give you a quick answer on that because, again, it varies across each jurisdiction. But for traveling, so right now, much like it is in the US still, masks are required on international flights, is a given. But once you're in Australia, it does depend based on the setting, number of people, and the part of the country that you're in. But again, there's nothing that you wouldn't expect to be experiencing here in this country. There's nothing.
Okay, that's great. That's great news. I know it is kind of, we're all in the dark really at this point because people are getting rid of masks, they're keeping masks, and you know, it's just a strange time, but it sounds like it's still possible to do that just in Australia too. Now, let's talk a little bit about you were marketing pretty heavily for a destination that wasn't truly open yet. Do you think this has made you even more ready for when the country does open?
Well, I think we've been, you know, as we've talked about before, I think we've been really focused on sure that you know, we keep customers dreaming about trips to Australia, and also keeping our advisor community really, you know, educated to date in terms of what's going on in Australia. So I think for us, we had the announcement come out earlier this week, and we're opening up in 2 weeks. So that's not a large window for us to work with.
Right.
All the great work that we've done to this point allows us to be able to open up in a very short period of time. I'm confident that we have a lot of ready and willing advisors out there waiting to sell their customers down to Australia. So I think having all the marketing to support that we've been able to do over the last couple of years has really helped us be able to get to a really strong position today, so that we do open in a couple of weeks that people are ready to go.
Right away. Yeah, and I know some Aussie travel specialists that really are eager and have already been actively selling. So that's great news. Now, in terms of now that you have the official opening date, are you going to begin any new marketing campaigns to coincide with the launch, the reopening, I guess? Is there any themes that you're going to look at?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be launching some new campaigns in early March, both in collaboration with our airline and some of our wholesale partners across North America, and also more direct to as well. So we'll be announcing details of that very soon. But the key theme really of what we want to remind people of is all of the amazing experiences that are waiting. People have been waiting for a couple of years at this point to get back to Australia, and now is the best time to go. So it's really driving that our people of all the wonderful things we have to offer in Australia.
No, absolutely. And I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get back there. It's been more than 2 years now, almost. Now, are you coordinating with some of the top tour operators to Australia to make sure everyone is on the same page as Australia reopens? I know I have a couple of releases just today that I'll be putting out from a couple of ones. Go Away and Intrepid are already, on the books. Is like, come on, you get going and book Australia. But I assume you're working with the other tour operators as well.
Yeah, so we've been having lots of conversations back before the holidays with the key wholesale partners in the US. So you mentioned Go Away there. We've also got Down Under Answers as well. Too. So we've been keeping in communication with them. We're developing plans with them as well to help get the word out there and get people booking again. So we'll be launching activities with our wholesale and specialist retail partners over the next 4 to 5 weeks. Yeah.
No, that's great news. Now, same goes for travel advisors, and obviously you have your Aussie specialists, but I'm sure there are others that want to sell Australia. What programs do you have ready for them as Australia opens?
Yeah, it's a great question. So obviously we are communicating and updating very heavily through our Aussie specialist community at the moment. For those folks that are not Aussie specialists, that really is the best platform and program to be engaged with in terms of information from and our state and territory partners, as well as special opportunities. One thing I want to talk about is we will be going out on the road in April. So from late March through the month of April, we our Sales Tourism Australia and our state and territory partners will be going out to see as many people as we can over that month across North America. So we'll be going to 11 markets, 9 in the US, 2 in Canada, and that roadshow series is really about us getting back in front of our advisors again, talking to them, educating them, and getting them really re-engaged and inspired. So we'll be publishing details of that within the next couple of weeks on how people can register and come along and see us at one of those events.
Well, please let us know all about that, and we'll try to get the word out too about where you're going to have those sessions and what meetings you're going to have. Anything else you want to tell our travel advisors out there? We go out to about 98,000 of them now about this great news that Australia is finally going to be reopening on February 21, and they can sell Australia again, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's so exciting. We I was chatting with some of my colleagues, and I actually spoke to most of our wholesale partners yesterday that focus on South Pacific region, and everyone is so excited about this news and can't wait to get selling again. I think the key thing for advisors as they're planning itineraries for customers is please work with your wholesaler and tour operator. They will help you navigate any of the specific nuances as you look to get people across the country that exist at the moment. But also, as we said earlier, please check the government resources that will provide links to James that people can access. But I think it's just very exciting. We can't wait to get people back down to Australia again. I can't wait to get back down there. It's been 2 years for me, and James, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, I haven't been there. Last time I was there was for a Virtuoso meeting in Melbourne. And so I'm hoping to get back sooner than later, and really experience even more of your country. I've been lucky enough to go a few times, but I really would love to get back. And also all our travel advisor friends who want to get back into those FAMs and experience Australia for themselves again.
That's right. So we will be not immediately, but we will be looking at plans for meal opportunities in collaboration with our wholesale and airline partners. And I think the other thing for advisors out there that, lots of questions around airline capacity and things, our partners, particularly at Qantas and American, their joint venture, they've been very bullish about how they feel the demand profile is going to return for Australia. Do we? So there's lots of seats out there. So I don't expect to see any issues with availability. From all of our airline partners, Qantas, United, American, Delta, and Air Canada. So there's lots of seats out there to be had. So please use them. We're excited to see Qantas bringing 380 to LA.
Oh, wow.
And they have been doing over the last couple of weeks. So it's great to see that big plane ready to take people down to Australia when ready. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see a lot more of those big planes going down there, and as more and more people get back to Australia. Now, obviously, I was going to ask, my last question was, where can travel advisors go to get more breaking information on Australia as Australia reopens? But I think if you can just send me those links, and we're going to publish those right below this in the descriptor for this interview.
That's awesome. And just a last, I think when we spoke last, James, I think things were starting to reopen up in other markets. And, I've been out at various events in the last part of last year, and it's been so good to reconnect with advisors and hear how busy they are again and how their clients are traveling. So forward to welcoming some of those guests back to Australia really soon.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, great to see you, and hopefully maybe the next time we'll see each other is in Australia. So we'll see. Sure. We'll figure that one out. And again, congratulations. It's great to have Australia back in the mix now as a great destination that everyone can send their clients to. And we knew it would happen, but now it really has happened. So again, and good luck in the next year.
Cool. That's great. Thanks, James. Thank you.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.